Hey everyone, welcome back to Behind Bars Blueprint. My name is Jason. I'm the founder and CEO of this program, where we are an organization that helps individuals and their families navigate the incarceration process from beginning to end and even beyond. Today we're going to be talking about the real cost of recidivism. And recidivism, if you don't know, is when someone gets out of prison or jail, reoffends, and goes back. And I'm also going to talk about how Indiana can lead the way in changing the nation in that. So let's get started. So let's start by talking numbers. To house a single inmate for 1 year costs tens of thousands of dollars. Yep, that's absolutely correct. Tens of thousands of dollars for one inmate for 1 year. You multiply that by thousands of repeat offenders, Indiana taxpayers, they're on the hook for a massive bill. And the administrators of these correction facilities and prisons don't want this. They don't want to put that burden on the taxpayer, but they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. And that's what we're going to address in this particular video. It also does other things. Families break apart when this happens. It creates long-term welfare situations a lot of times. Children grow up without parents, one or the other, sometimes both. They get raised by grandparents when that happens. And then when they get older, they repeat the cycle. Studies show that often if you're a child of someone who has been incarcerated or is incarcerated, your chances of getting incarcerated yourself are significantly increased. So, businesses lose out on able-bodied workers. A lot of these people that are in prison, good workers, know how to work and know how to work hard. And when they're in prison or when they keep going back to prison, local companies and businesses lose out on able-bodied workers that could actually do a lot of good for themselves and for the community. So recidivism, it just isn't a prison problem, okay? It's a public safety problem. It's an issue with the public safety. It's a workforce problem. It's an economic problem. We can go on and on. Every Hoosier is affected by the recidivism rate of prisoners, and that needs to change. So how do we do that? So the way we fix this is, first we have to start by identifying the problem. Let's be honest, we've got kind of a one-size-fits-all solution for stuff like this. Inmates are treated like numbers and not necessarily individuals. And again, when you have a massive amount of individuals incarcerated, tens of thousands of individuals incarcerated, it becomes hard not to make it a numbers game because there's just so many people and it's hard to focus on the individual. But it doesn't change the fact that the one-size-fits-all approach just doesn't really work. A lot of times we don't have any family involvement. There's the outside family influence. It's where people oftentimes get left alone. They get left abandoned. The very people who influence reentry the most, which are typically family members, oftentimes are left out. You've got family members that want to be included, but are not or don't know how to be included. And that is a huge impact on the reentry process. There's a short-term focus on a lot of stuff. So there's programs stop the day of the release. So once you're released, you get out, that's it. There's disjointed programs here and there, but when you're released from prison, a lot of times, that's it. You're on your own. And that's actually where the real battle begins. So we need to be very cognizant of that, very much aware of that, because that's also contributing to the problems. And then there's no culture shift. And what I mean by that, if the staff doesn't buy into what's going on, the inmates won't buy into what's going on. So we need buy-in from both sides. And that's something that is going to stop the cycle of recidivism. It's going to start a cycle of progress. It's going to start a cycle of mutual progress on both sides. This is why billions get spent every single year, yet the recidivism rates stay stubbornly high. There's got to be buy-in from both sides, and that's what this program aims to do. So why do I say that Indiana can lead in all this? Well, Indiana is uniquely positioned to lead, and they're uniquely positioned for a good reason. We've got good infrastructure here in Indiana. We've got great leadership. We've got a chance to be the model state for the nation on prison rehabilitation and prison reform. And that's what this program is all about. Imagine this. Instead of being known for overcrowded prisons, high recidivism, Indiana becomes known as the state that solved the corrections problem. Indiana becomes known for safer communities, lower taxpayer costs, more productive citizens coming home out of prison ready to work. Indiana can be known for all of that if it has to be intentional, though. That's the thing. We have to be intentional with all of this. And this program does exactly that. Indiana can lead the way, and it starts now. So what's the answer? Well, the answer isn't more money. The answer is smarter money. We need to use money more wisely. Programs that actually work, share three things. I've got three things in common. The first one is they start on day one. Programs that start with reentry, a day before you're released, a month before you're released, that doesn't work. It has to start on day one. Reentry has to be the focus on day one. I know it doesn't seem like it. Sometimes it might seem like a long way off, and it might be. But it needs to be the focus from day one. What are you going to do when you get out? It needs to involve families. Families need to have a connection with all this. They are the absolute biggest support piece when a incarcerated individual gets out and reentry takes place. They are the support system that is going to make them, many times, it's going to make or break what happens with them. So the family has to get involved. They have to be part of the process from beginning to end with their incarcerated loved one. And then we need to teach a full roadmap. And by a full roadmap, I mean start to finish and then even beyond. There's a lot of good programs out there, and I've said this before, but they're all just individual programs. A lot of times when we get released from prison, when someone gets set loose, that's it. The planning stops, the program stop, and they have to try to find this stuff on themselves. Behind Bars Blueprint was built to cover all of this. When you are released, there's still programs for you after you get out. Where do you go? How do you get it done? What's emotional resilience look like? What's a job interview look like? How do you apply for positions? How do you apply for the best positions? How do you interview properly? All that is included in Behind Bars Blueprint. It starts from the very beginning, walks you through the entire process, what to expect at each stage, and then what to expect when you get out and how to be successful from there and beyond. So here's the choice, everyone. We can either keep paying for something that just doesn't exactly work or work as well as it should, or we can invest in a proven roadmap that actually worked, that's been tested over 18 years. I've pilot studied this. I started while I was in prison, and I've done it completely, fully, revamped it, even have had it vetted by Department of Corrections individuals and staff, okay? This is a program that works. I've seen it work firsthand. Everybody that took this program where I was at my manufacturing business, where I was the head of sales and marketing, we did this program every single year, sometimes twice a year for 11 years. And no one violated, went back, or got fired while they were taking this program. It works. That's all I can say, guys. It works. And Behind Bars Blueprint, it's ready. It's practical. It's scalable. And it's designed to save Indiana money. And it's designed to save and change lives in the process. And that's something that we need to do. We need a system that goes from beginning to end and then even beyond that. We can't just keep leaving people dropped off out in the middle of nowhere, okay? If you believe Indiana should lead the way in corrections reform, then the time to act is now. Again, I'd get a hold of your state legislatures. I'd get a hold of your politicians, local and state, and say, hey, look at this, check this out. This is something I think that would be helpful, for my loved one or for the state as a whole. Check out the links below, guys. I really would encourage you, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Leave a comment if you have any questions. You can email me. It's at behindbarsblueprint@gmail.com. My phone number is 260-228-2626. Or you can connect on my website, behindbarsblueprint.com. Or we've got an Amazon author page too that has all these workbooks, and I'll put all those links below. So, hey, again, hope this was helpful, guys. Really would appreciate your support. This is something I think that is long, long overdue, and Indiana can lead the way. So let's make it happen. Until next time, keep the faith, stay strong.